Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. And, yeah, welcome back to my, Sequel-A-Thon. We're talking about Hot Tub Time Machine 2, obviously. Little backstory with this. So, this was one of the few that I was regretting revisiting. So, if you know, I loved the first one, but I always thought that the ending of the film was perfect enough. They didn't need to continue on it. But they announced the sequel, and I was like, okay, sure, I'm in. Then John Cusack wasn't returning, and Adam Scott was taking this place, playing the son of his character Adam Gates. So he played Adam Gates Stedmeyer. Then they released a trailer, and the trailer had all this, like, weird stuff in it that's really just at the end of the film. It has nothing to do with the actual plot. But the plot is that Lou, who is now a multi-millionaire, is shot in the dick. So they have to use the Hot Tub Time Machine to go back to stop it from happening. But they end up going to the future. Now they realize that the killer is from the future, and they have to stop the killer from going after Lou. This movie's a clusterfuck. Apart from, like, there's still a good connection. Like, you have Rob Corddry, Craig Robinson, and Clark Duke coming back. And even by putting Adam Scott in there. Adam Scott is good at comedy. They all work together very well. But the problem is this movie doesn't make any fucking sense. And they don't even try to connect it back and try to have it make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Even with the extended cut that features a extended ending. That's about it. An extended ending featuring the character of Adam still doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you how I would have done the ending with Adam. So it starts out, and we see that 5 years have passed, and life is good for Lou Dorshin, who is now the main character since Adam is gone. Adam was our point of view character in the last one. Now it's Lou. And it's already a step down. Adam had redeeming qualities. Lou does not. Lou is an asshole. They even said in the first one, he's an asshole. It's like, you know, you have that friend that's an asshole, but he's your asshole. That's what he is. He's not the character you want to follow. And credit to them, they do spread it out between him and Clark Duke. A little bit for Craig Robinson, but he doesn't have that much. He has some kind of a storyline strut. But then he ends up doing it anyway. It doesn't make any sense. This movie doesn't make any sense. They're celebrating this whole Lugal thing. And I have to point this out because it's an important plot line. They're at this business meeting, and he's talking to Kumail Nanjiani. He plays Brad. And he fucking tells them how time travel is done. You need nitrogenadium mixed with the thing, and you have time travel. Right? And that's important because it comes back later. There's also a character named Gary who was actually supposed to go with them on that trip back in '85, but they never picked him up. That never calculates into anything. Like, oh, if you were there, maybe. No, nothing. It's just a red herring for who may kill Lou. So as Lou is in the middle of presenting something, he's about to initiate a orgy, I guess. Someone shows up in a tuxedo, shoots him in the dick. That's when they reveal that the time machine is still there. And he took the time machine, he put it there, and they use it to hopefully go back and stop it in the future, where Lou is somehow still alive. And if you think of it this way, I've seen a lot of time travel TV shows and movies. Think of it this way. If this was always meant to happen, them going in the future, and they're the future of... Okay, so if they went to the future and their actions in the future cause what they're trying to say, the actions in the future cause this person to go back and shoot Lou in the dick, which is another clusterfuck, and then my head hurts. Then they go back, and stop this person from doing it. Then the future they're in is a result of them stopping the guy from killing Lou. So that's why he's still alive. But he still fluctuates, because he did that in the first one with Jacob. He fluctuates when he. But now they play it for comedy here, where there was very important. Here it's he's a. Like they start out with if you say you're gonna do something that it's not gonna help you find out, deviate from your history, it's gonna cause you to die, then you're gonna phase out. But that doesn't make any sense. Once you find out who the killer is, it doesn't make any sense, because their actions directly lead to it just doesn't make any sense. To him dying. So getting shot. You're in the future. Jacob has become bald like his dad, and he now has the family money, I guess. Lou is homeless or something. He has his beard or whatever, because they do the thing where they look in the mirror and they do the you look like, because they did that in the first one, right? So as they were going to the time machine, they found Adam's jacket, which could connect to the end if it made any fucking sense. We'll get there. So they decided to find Adam. They think it's Adam who goes back in time to kill Lou. They're sort of right, but we'll get to that. So they track down Adam using his DNA, and they find his son, Adam Yates Stedmeyer. As it turns out, the Great White Buffalo, Jenny Stedmeyer, was pregnant when they broke up. She never told him? I don't know. Seems a little much, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, so we get Adam Yates Stedmeyer, or Adam Jr. as I'm going to call him. And he's getting married to Gillian Jacobs, who's a beautiful woman. And so she decides, hey, you got to go with him. You got to bond with your Uncle Lou, don't call me that, and your cousin, and you have to help them with whatever. Now, they inform him about the hot tub time machine, but then is surprised when they don't know what choosy doozy means, and what choosy doozy is, and they don't know stuff from this current time. They told you they're from the past. What? I don't know. There's a lot of jokes that just don't. Like the first half of this movie, I was sitting here and I was just, oh God, can we end it? Can we end it? It wasn't funny. No matter how much of the chemistry these guys have, it just wasn't funny. The whole, you look like, yeah, it went on way too long, and then they do it another time. Do it twice within a span of 5 minutes. It's just, come on. Move on. It's like, I was winning in the first one. Let's double down on that. You know? And then, totally forgot. So, it is revealed that, Jacob is with the coat check girl that he met for like 5 minutes at the beginning of the film. And she walks around topless because we need tits in this movie, I guess. There is literally no reason for this woman to walk around topless other than we need tits in this scene. Much as I love tits in movies, there's got to be a reason for it. Like later, they go to a club and there's some topless women there. That makes sense. But yeah, Lou's like, hey, let's go to a strip club, and he starts to fluctuate, and it's like, they're like, oh yeah, you can't deviate. If you deviate from what we're doing, you're gonna die. And I'm like, how does going to a strip club kill him? It deviates from them trying to find him. But yeah, and then later, I don't know, there's other things that he's allowed to do, like go on Choose a Doozy and get almost fucked up the ass by Nick. And that's another doesn't hit. Like they go to this club because they think Gary is the killer, so they go to see Gary at his club, and it turns out no, he's not the killer. He loves Lou because it helped him. He didn't sell the land, and then it bummed out, and he actually made him a lot of money, something like that. I don't know. And so now he's rich, so he loves Lou. And then they put this little ladybug thing on Adam Jr.'s neck, and he starts to act weird. He calls his, I want a phone that you can just do this. Can you film YouTube videos with that? But I don't know. And he calls his wife. He's like, I'm a fucking god. And it somehow offends her. And she's like he says it like the next day. He's like, you ever think that everything's just like a lie? It's just something that she says to him later when they meet for the first time, which doesn't make any fucking sense. We'll get to the ending, because the ending is the biggest head scratcher I've ever seen. So they set up their problems with the characters. Lou and his wife are drug addicts, and there's not getting along with Jacob, who was basically their butler. And even though they established that everything was okay, Nick is having troubles with his wife again for some reason. They also show that he's stealing songs from people, but there's songs that already would have existed before 2010. Like at the beginning of this, he's singing Lisa Loeb song that was from the 90s. Now I get maybe the version of him that grew up, like got tips from Lou to sing some of these songs, but this Lisa Loeb song, he's doing a music video in 2015, right? And then Lisa Loeb was just like, well, this song, I don't know, for some reason it's almost personal to me. She should have already recorded this song. It's from the 90s. It doesn't make any sense. But getting back to the story at hand. So they end up on Choosy Doozy, which is the TV show for future. Apparently all the TV shows are just doing bad things to people, which I can't really argue. That's a pretty good commentary. A lot of people want to see it. But America's Funniest Home Videos is a high-rated show. People get hit in the nuts. I can see that. I can see what they're trying to say here. But this is where we get the, oh, you suggestions, what you want to do. You eat a bunch of waffles, and then Lou yells out, fuck a dude. And because he choosy, he doozy. So because he choose it, he does it. And then he finds a lifeline last second. And he puts Adam Jr. in there, and you don't see it, but they do it. And yeah. Then next, there's also this car that, this self-driving car that Lou pisses off, so gets permission from somewhere to kill him, and they give it to him. Okay? So Lou has this car trying to kill him throughout the film. It does come back at the end, but I don't know. Meanwhile, apparently Jacob in the future had become almost like his dad, but has tried to change his ways. But after having problems with his dad, he goes back to it, and his girlfriend sort of breaks up with him, and he tries. He's going to jump off a roof, but there's a suicide prevention thing, so yeah. There's a really good scene between them, only for Jacob to almost get knocked off, which is another, oh my god, he's gonna save me, and he slips, oh my god, I'm stopping you. And there's this suicide prevention thing the entire time. It takes away from the entire scene because there was tension, there was heartfelt stuff between them, and it's like, none of that mattered because he wouldn't have died even if he tried jumping off. So they slowly realize that Adam Jr. is going to get married that day, so they go to the wedding. Because the next suspect is Brad, who Lou yelled at the meeting and gave him the idea for nitrogenium. Yep, Brad invented nitrogenium because they get the idea that the nitrogenium is from the future, which also doesn't make fucking sense, and it makes even less sense later. So they don't have any nitrogenium because it's from the future. Brad has invented and has the only vial of nitrogenium. All right, remember that. Now, this is where we get the twist of sorts that you probably could have seen coming. Watch it this time, like, pay for the obvious. It's pay for the obvious who the killer is now. Lou fucks Jill, and so it's revealed that Adam Jr. is the killer. Of course he is, because we see it makes too much sense. Lou created his own killer. So Adam Jr. takes nitrogenium from Jacob because Jacob's the only one that Brad trusted with it. So that's out. And then they try to go after him, but he's already gone. So what do they do? They're stuck, and Lou is starting to fluctuate away. But nitrogenium is there because, according to them, because Adam Jr. brought the nitrogenium back with him, it now exists. But he didn't bring it back with him. He put it in a fucking machine. You're literally holding the vial, the empty vial of it, 5 minutes earlier. He did not bring it back with him. He didn't. And it doesn't make any fucking sense if he did. Because he brought it back to 2015. And this stuff existed in a Russian energy drink in 2010. So that makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I could see if there were 2 vials and he grabbed both of them and went back and landed in 2005 in Russia, and the Russians got a hold of one and used that stuff for whatever. Didn't know what it was for, but put it in the energy drinks instead. That would make much more sense. Well, not very much sense, but it would at least fit into the continuity. Here they're saying, oh, nitrogenium is from the future. Adam brought it back with him, which he did fucking not. Adam Jr. brought it back with him, which he did fucking not. And so that's why it exists now. No. You were holding the empty vial. He did not bring it back with him. And he would bring it back to 2015 where it already existed. Therefore, it makes no sense. But this is get towards the ending where it really doesn't make any sense. So they use the nitrogenium that now exists for some reason, and they go back. And they go back to before Lou was shot, because that's what he did. But they said before that you can't control it. It takes you where you need to go. So Adam Jr. was always supposed to end up there, and they were supposed to follow. The problem is, much like when they go into the future, they take the places of the versions that were already there. That's a big problem. There should be 2 of them. Because there's a paradox. Lou has to get shot in the dick. They cannot stop him from doing it. He has to get shot in the dick. So that they can go into the time machine and go to the future and start the circle. He has to get shot. But doesn't. And it even happens different. Because at the beginning of the film, because we're trying to hide who it is, he just shoots him in the dick. Here, he gets in the middle of everybody and goes, woo! And it's like, no, that's not how it happened. At all. At all. It's not how it happened. And there's some paradox. It's a paradox. Or I forgot to mention that Kelly, Jacob's mom, in the future, she's a nurse. She went to rehab. She got fixed. It's important because of the story, anyways, but... So they stop Adam Jr. from shooting Lou in the dick, even though he's about to do it himself, and he decides not to do it. Adam stops him from doing it, I guess. Adam Jr. stops him from doing it, I guess. And, yeah. Then we get some wrap-ups. Adam Jr. bumps into his future wife, who is apparently working the wedding, yet she didn't recognize Lou. She knew Nick because of his little... That's a whole running joke, too, is that the Weber strut apparently hit rock bottom, tried to create a new dance craze, which worked, but he's a joke. Weber strut. Whatever. So he apologizes to his wife. He says, we're going to just have time for ourselves. Lou reconciles with his wife and said we're going to get to a rehab program. Jacob hooks up with the coat check girl, Sophie. Like saying some weird stuff like, I'm in the future, blah, blah, blah. And she just leaves him in a kiss. And it's like, wait, you don't know this guy. You thought he was the butler, which he sort of was. And now you just, because he spelled out this stuff. But it doesn't make any sense because it's a paradox. Lou had to be shot in the dick for them to go into the future and do this whole thing. So he should have landed after. And this also doesn't make any sense what happens here. They decided to do an extended ending, a deleted scene, in which Adam shows up. As they go earlier in the film, they reveal that the box from the first one that says Cincinnati on it is now Lou's house. Here, as they're standing there, they're talking. Lou is talking about, we can do what we want now, or whatever, and about changing his whole life, I guess. And then Adam shows up and shoots him. In the theatrical version, it's Minuteman Lou. We'll get to that. Adam shows up. They're like, Adam? Dad? He's like, don't listen to him. You have to come back with me. Back where? Cincinnati. And I'm like, yes, that's the question we need answering. And just so you know, nobody knows what Cincinnati is. Like, there's been questions asked, interviews. It's just something that came up with the first one. They don't know what Cincinnati is. So, But then he jumps through, and then Minuteman Lou shows up anyway, and for some ADR, they're like, don't listen to him. Come back with me. And then they just do a time travel montage at the end with them replacing historical figures, which would cause big paradoxes. They save Lincoln. Okay, they become the Beatles. Jacob sleeps with Marilyn Monroe, who didn't sleep with Marilyn Monroe. But no. Much like the ending of Deadpool 2, I choose to think of this as non-canon. How would I have done it? How would I know the Adam thing is in there? Which still doesn't make any sense, by the way, because his coat was there before they jumped, and this would have been after they jumped. Although, I don't know. It's very confusing. What I would have done is, as they're going to send Adam Jr. back, he shows up. I don't know if he would necessarily kill Lou, as I think that would change the future too drastically. But there would be another Lou in Cincinnati, right? So, maybe kill that Lou and then jump back with him to Cincinnati, and that'd be the third film. Finally reveal what happened in Cincinnati. I'm just saying. But yeah, this movie is not worth your time. It's a big kerfuffle. I know I got upset, but it's not a fright hell. There are some generally funny moments in this. I don't hate it, but I'm not going to watch it again. I'm going to watch the first one before we watch this one again. So, yeah, it's just not worth your time. So, what are your thoughts on Hot Tub Time Machine 2? Make sure to like, share, subscribe. And next, we are going back to a franchise that I started a couple of years ago during Halloween. I did the first film. Now we're doing the sequel and the long-awaited sequel. I'll do those two next. It's based on a Japanese film. It's not The Grudge. I might give you a hint. But, yeah, till then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty. I'll see you next.